Did you know that something sitting in your pantry right now, something you probably eat every single day, could quietly raise your risk of a stroke while you sleep? No warning, no pain, no dizziness. You go to bed feeling perfectly fine, and by morning, everything has changed. You wake up confused, your speech slurred, your arm weak, wondering what went wrong. And the answer isn't in your heart, your blood pressure, or your medication. It's in the handful of nuts you thought were keeping you healthy. As a brain doctor, I've seen this far too many times. Seniors who exercise, eat well, and avoid junk food still suffer strokes in the quiet hours of the night. Why? Because some of the very nuts labeled as heart healthy, low fat, or natural can, in reality, thicken your blood, spike your pressure, and silently form deadly clots while you sleep. Tonight, I'll walk you through 7 popular nuts that millions of Americans over 60 eat every day, and how each one can quietly damage your circulation, suffocate your brain, and steal your independence without warning. If you think your nightly snack is safe, think again. The truth may shock you. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. 1. Salted roasted peanuts. The hidden blood pressure trap. If you're over 60, I want you to picture this. It's late evening, you're sitting in your favorite recliner, the TV hums softly, and in your hand is a small bowl of salted peanuts. You've done this for years. Maybe you switched from chips to peanuts because you believed they were the healthy choice. They taste simple, familiar, the comfort of your younger days in a handful. But here's what almost no one tells you. Those little salted peanuts could be setting the stage for a stroke while you sleep. Let's talk science and truth. One small handful of salted peanuts can contain over 250 to 300 milligrams of sodium. For an older adult, that's enough to quietly raise your blood pressure in just a few hours. When you go to bed, your blood vessels, already stiffened with age, must fight that pressure. The salt draws extra fluid into your bloodstream, your heart beats harder, and the delicate vessels in your brain begin to strain. You feel nothing, no pain, no warning, but inside, that extra pressure is pushing against walls that aren't as flexible as they used to be. During the night, while you sleep peacefully, your body's natural blood pressure cycle begins to rise. In young people, their vessels can expand to handle that. But in seniors, those arteries can't relax the same way. The result? Turbulent blood flow, sluggish circulation, thickening blood. Under those conditions, sodium doesn't just raise pressure, it triggers clot formation. I've seen it happen far too many times. One tiny clot, one narrowed vessel, and a brain deprived of oxygen in seconds. That's how strokes begin, not with fireworks, but with a slow, silent buildup that starts in the most ordinary moments of daily life. Let me tell you about one of my patients, James R., 74 years old, a retired bus driver from Ohio. He was proud of his health, didn't smoke, took his morning walks, and swapped chips for peanuts years ago. "They're good protein, Doc," he used to say, grinning. Then one morning, his wife found him sitting up in bed, confused, unable to lift his right arm. He hadn't felt a thing. The night before, he'd eaten half a bag of salted peanuts while watching the game. At the hospital, his blood pressure was 198 over 102. Imaging showed a small clot in the brainstem, the area that controls movement and balance. It wasn't from cholesterol or diabetes. It was from hypertension and sodium overload, a stroke triggered in the quiet hours of sleep. This is what makes salted peanuts so dangerous for seniors. They create a perfect storm: too much sodium, too little hydration, and fragile blood vessels. The salt thickens your blood, raises your pressure, and as it moves through narrowed arteries, tiny clots can form, invisible time bombs waiting to block a vessel when your blood pressure peaks before dawn. The truth is, your brain doesn't need the salt. Your body doesn't either. What you think is just a snack can, over time, reshape your blood chemistry and silently endanger your independence, your ability to walk, speak, or even remember. So before you reach for that handful tonight, pause. Ask yourself, is this comfort worth the risk? Because sometimes what feels small and harmless is what changes everything. And if you think salted peanuts are bad, wait until you hear what happens when sugar coats the surface of your favorite nuts. The next one doesn't just raise your pressure, it thickens your blood like syrup. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now let's move on to point number 2. 2. Honey roasted nuts, the sugar spike that thickens the blood. They sparkle golden in the grocery aisle, smell sweet and comforting, and crunch like childhood. Honey roasted nuts. They look innocent, even wholesome. The word honey feels natural, safe, like something your grandmother used to stir into her tea. But what most seniors don't realize is that these sweet, glossy coatings can quietly turn every handful into a metabolic storm that your aging heart and brain can no longer handle. Here's the truth. Few doctors explain clearly. Your brain is extremely sensitive to blood sugar spikes. When you eat honey roasted nuts, especially in the evening, those caramelized coatings can carry 10 to 15 grams of sugar per handful. That sugar rush floods your bloodstream quickly, forcing your pancreas to release insulin in high amounts. And as insulin surges, your blood thickens. The red blood cells that should flow freely begin to stick together, moving slower through your narrow arteries that after 60 are no longer smooth or flexible. Now, imagine that thickened blood moving toward your brain during the night. It doesn't move gracefully. It drags, slows, and sometimes stops. That's where the danger begins. It triggers strokes. It forms blood clots, and you'll never feel it coming. You'll go to bed feeling fine, maybe a little full, a little sleepy. But your brain may already be struggling to get the oxygen it needs. This is not theory. I've seen it happen. One of my patients, Eleanor, 78, a retired librarian from Kansas, used to keep a small bowl of honey roasted almonds by her bedside. Just for a little sweetness before sleep, she'd say. It was her comfort ritual for years. Then one morning, she woke up confused. Her words wouldn't come out right. Her right hand felt numb. At the hospital, we found a clot lodged in a small artery deep in her brain. Her blood work showed sky-high triglycerides and elevated glucose. She'd gone to bed with a sugar spike and woke up with a stroke. Here's what was happening inside her body. The sugar in those nuts caused her insulin to rise sharply. Overnight, her body's hydration levels dropped slightly, something common in seniors, making her blood even thicker. Her blood vessels, already stiffened by age, couldn't expand to keep the flow steady. That combination, thick blood, sugar-induced inflammation, and fragile vessels, is a recipe for disaster. It's the perfect environment for a clot to form quietly, waiting until morning to strike. Some people still believe sugar is harmless if it comes with nuts. It's natural, they say, but sugar, no matter the source, inflames your arteries, increases oxidative stress, and damages the inner lining of your blood vessels. That damage invites platelets to stick, clump, and form clots. And once a clot forms, your brain is one heartbeat away from catastrophe. If you think this couldn't happen to you, think again. Studies show that even mild glucose spikes in older adults are linked to higher rates of silent strokes, the kind that don't cause immediate paralysis but slowly rob you of memory, balance, and speech over time. That's why so many seniors wake up foggy headed, blaming poor sleep when it's really their blood sugar disrupting brain flow all night long. So, when you see that shiny bag of honey roasted nuts at the store, remember, it's not a harmless snack. It's sugar wrapped in a lie of comfort, a sweet coating that your brain can no longer afford. Choose plain, raw, or lightly toasted nuts instead. Your body doesn't need the sweetness, it needs stability, steady blood, steady pressure, steady oxygen. Because in the stillness of night, what you ate just a few hours earlier can decide how your next morning begins, with clarity or confusion. And if you think sugar is the worst thing hiding in your snack bowl, wait until you see what's mixed into those flavored nuts you love, the ones that claim to taste like barbecue and smoke. The next one doesn't just raise your pressure, it poisons your circulation from the inside out. 3. Flavored mixed nuts, MSG, and additives that disrupt blood flow. They smell tempting, smoky, spicy, sweet. The bag says barbecue, maple bacon, or honey chipotle. The label says roasted to perfection. But what it doesn't say, in big bold letters, is the truth. Those flavored mixed nuts are quietly poisoning your circulation. For many older Americans, these nuts have become an everyday snack, something between healthy and fun. Yet inside every coated piece hides a dangerous blend of sodium, MSG, artificial flavoring, and chemical preservatives that can quietly damage the most delicate vessels in your brain. Let me explain what happens after you eat a handful. Monosodium glutamate, or MSG, isn't just a flavor enhancer. It's a chemical that can trigger constriction in tiny blood vessels, especially in the brain. In younger people, the body compensates easily. But in seniors, where arteries have already lost elasticity and nerve signaling slows, that constriction lingers. It's like tightening a garden hose that's already cracked. The blood struggles to pass through, pressure builds, and in the confined space of your brain, that can be disastrous. Then comes the salt. Most flavored nuts pack 3 to 5 times more sodium than plain roasted ones. Sodium draws water into the bloodstream, thickens it, and makes your heart work harder. During the night, when blood pressure naturally rises, that extra load strains your vessels even more. And when those vessels can't handle the pressure, it triggers strokes. It forms blood clots. As a neurologist, I've seen countless patients who never suspected their snacks could harm them. One of them was Mrs. Lila Harmon, 79, a retired piano teacher from Tennessee. She loved her smoky barbecue trail mix. She'd eat a bowl every afternoon while reading. To her, it was healthier than cookies or chips. But when she began waking up dizzy, with tingling in her fingers and memory lapses, her daughter brought her to me. Her scans showed tiny areas of ischemic damage, what we call silent strokes. Her blood pressure was fluctuating wildly, and her sodium levels were elevated. She wasn't overweight, she didn't smoke, but the combination of high sodium, MSG, and preservatives had quietly attacked her blood flow for years. Those chemicals don't just affect pressure. Some additives, like TBHQ and artificial smoke flavor, create oxidative stress, meaning they inflame the lining of your arteries, making it easier for platelets to clump and form microclots. Over time, those small clots can block the tiniest vessels feeding your brain tissue. You don't notice it right away, but you start losing sharpness. Your thoughts feel slower. Your balance isn't the same. That's not just aging. That's the silent cost of processed foods that your brain can no longer defend itself against. And the cruelest part, the effect is amplified at night. Seniors often eat flavored nuts after dinner or while watching TV, then go to bed without drinking enough water. Overnight, dehydration sets in, blood thickens, and the chemicals from those nuts keep your vessels tight. It's the perfect setup for a midnight stroke, a small clot forming silently while you sleep, robbing you of clarity by morning. If you think one handful won't matter, remember this: your body doesn't reset overnight. It remembers every spike, every constriction, every insult to your vessels. Over weeks and months, those little snacks rewrite your brain's circulation. So next time you see flavored or seasoned on the label, understand what it truly means: engineered taste, chemical stress, and vascular risk. Choose purity over flavor. Plain nuts, lightly toasted, are your best ally. Your brain craves stability, not spice. And if you think chemicals are the only hidden danger in your snacks, wait until you meet the next culprit: rich, buttery, and far too innocent looking. The one that floods your bloodstream with fat and clogs your vessels from within. It's the silent, golden nut that turns your blood into sludge. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's keep going with point number 4. 4. Macadamia nuts, the hidden cholesterol problem. They look harmless: small, round, buttery, elegant. Macadamia nuts are the kind of snack that feels luxurious, the kind you might see on a tray at a holiday gathering or beside a cup of tea after dinner. Every magazine calls them heart healthy and rich in good fats. But as a brain doctor who treats older adults every single day, I can tell you something the packaging won't. For many seniors, macadamia nuts are quietly clogging their circulation and thickening their blood overnight. And yes, it triggers strokes. It forms blood clots. Here's why. Macadamia nuts are about 80% fat, one of the highest fat nuts you can eat. Now, not all fat is bad. Your brain needs some healthy fats to function. But in aging bodies, the metabolism of fat slows dramatically. After 60, your liver and blood vessels can't process dietary fats as efficiently as they once did. So when you eat a handful of macadamias, especially in the evening, your bloodstream becomes temporarily saturated with triglycerides, those fatty particles that make the blood thicker and heavier. While you sleep, your heart rate slows, your blood flow decreases, and that thickened blood moves sluggishly through arteries that are already stiff and narrow with age. What you may not realize is that during the night, your body's natural blood pressure rises slightly, a normal process called the morning surge. But when that surge meets dense, fat-heavy blood, circulation becomes unstable. Blood starts to pool, especially in smaller vessels deep inside the brain. And that's exactly when tiny clots can form silently. Clots that don't cause pain or warning, but can block a vessel just enough to starve brain tissue of oxygen. One small blockage is all it takes. I'll never forget one of my patients, Mr. Howard, 76, from Nebraska. He prided himself on eating clean: no chips, no candy, just a few healthy macadamia nuts every night before bed. He told me they helped him relax. One morning, his wife found him leaning on the kitchen counter, unable to speak, his right side paralyzed. The scans revealed a clot in his left middle cerebral artery, a stroke. He didn't smoke. His cholesterol was borderline but stable. The real culprit? Post-meal triglycerides through the roof, in a pattern of eating high-fat snacks before sleep. His nightly healthy habit had turned into a silent threat. Macadamias also have another hidden danger for seniors: They suppress natural hydration. Fatty foods signal the kidneys to excrete more water, leaving your blood slightly more concentrated. Combine dehydration with thickened blood and slow nighttime circulation, and you have the perfect recipe for clot formation. The stroke doesn't happen when you're active, it happens when you're resting, when your body should be healing. That's what makes it so cruel. And don't forget portion size. Most seniors think a handful means a handful, but macadamias are so calorie dense that even a small palmful can exceed 200 calories and 20 grams of fat. Over time, that excess feeds silent inflammation in your arteries, a process that stiffens vessel walls and reduces the brain's oxygen supply. So, if you love macadamias, don't panic, but do respect their power. Eat them earlier in the day in small amounts and never before bed. Balance them with water, vegetables, and fiber to help your body clear out the fat before you rest. Your brain depends on clean, steady blood flow, not the slow, heavy sludge of an overloaded circulation. Because every late night snack you eat becomes the chemistry your brain must live on through the night. And if you think these buttery nuts are bad, wait until you hear about the next one: small, green, and deceptively innocent. It's the favorite of millions of Americans, yet it quietly pushes your blood pressure higher every single night, the one that can squeeze your heart and brain at the same time. 5. Salted pistachios, the green culprit behind nighttime pressure surges. They look so small, so cheerful, little green gems tucked inside their shells. For decades, pistachios have been called the smart snack, praised for heart health and good fats. But if you're over 60, and especially if you have high blood pressure, heart disease, or take medication for either, those bright green nuts could be quietly sabotaging your circulation every single night. I've seen it happen too many times. Older adults who think they're doing everything right, yet wake up one morning unable to speak or move one side of their body. They never suspect the handful of salted pistachios they eat before bed, but they should, because it triggers strokes. It forms blood clots. Here's the truth behind the pretty shell. Pistachios are naturally rich in potassium, which is usually good for heart health, in moderation. But when combined with high sodium, as in salted pistachios, that delicate mineral balance collapses. Your body tries to hold on to water to compensate, raising blood volume and pressure. The result? Nocturnal hypertension, dangerous spikes in blood pressure that occur in the early morning hours, right when your brain's vessels are most vulnerable. For younger people, those fluctuations are mild, but in seniors, they can be deadly. With age, your blood vessels stiffen. They can't expand and contract as easily. So, when that sodium rushes in, your arteries don't relax, they tighten. Blood moves faster, pressure rises, and the fragile walls of the small vessels in your brain begin to strain. Microscopic tears appear, inflammation follows, and the body rushes platelets to patch the damage. That's when the clot forms. You feel nothing as you fall asleep, but by morning, the damage may already be done. I think of Mrs. Green, 81, one of my patients from North Carolina. She was bright, independent, and loved her evening rituals: a glass of water, a few pistachios, and a crossword puzzle before bed. They helped me unwind, she told me once, smiling, but she started waking up with headaches and blurry vision. Her daughter noticed she was getting forgetful. One morning, Mrs. Green couldn't stand without help. In the ER, her blood pressure was 210 over 100. Scans revealed a small clot in her occipital lobe, the part of the brain that controls sight. It wasn't from cholesterol or diabetes. It was from years of salt and potassium imbalance, dehydration, and nocturnal pressure surges. That's the hidden danger with salted pistachios. You don't taste the problem because the salt doesn't feel heavy. You don't see the potassium working behind the scenes. But inside your bloodstream, they're waging a chemical war on your circulation, pulling water in, thickening blood, and forcing your arteries to hold pressures they can no longer manage. It's like overinflating an old tire every single night. One day, it bursts. And here's another layer many seniors overlook: medication interference. If you take diuretics, water pills, for blood pressure or heart failure, salted pistachios can cause your potassium levels to swing dangerously high. That imbalance stresses your heart, alters your rhythm, and further weakens your vessels. It's a silent chain reaction that can lead directly to a stroke. So, what can you do? Choose unsalted pistachios and eat them earlier in the day. Always drink water alongside them. Don't be fooled by the healthy snack label. At your age, the rules have changed. Your vessels no longer forgive the same mistakes they once did, because the real threat isn't in the handful you eat. It's in what happens while you sleep afterward. Your heart slows, your vessels tighten, your blood thickens, and the consequences unfold in silence. And if you think salt and potassium are the only dangers hiding in your nut jar, wait until you hear what's lurking in the smooth, creamy spread that millions of Americans love and trust. The one that sits quietly in your pantry and turns into poison when mixed with sugar and oil. The next one isn't crunchy at all. It's soft, sweet, and silently deadly. 6. Peanut butter, especially low-fat brands. The silent killer in a jar. It sits quietly in almost every American kitchen, that familiar jar of peanut butter. For many of you, it's a comfort food, a childhood favorite that never left your pantry. You might spread it on toast before bed, stir it into oatmeal, or eat a spoonful for a late-night snack, telling yourself, it's just peanuts, full of protein, right? But here's what I want every senior to know. Most peanut butter, especially the low-fat or reduced-fat kind, is not the wholesome food you remember. It's a chemical blend that can quietly sabotage your circulation, thicken your blood, and in the wrong moment, it triggers strokes. It forms blood clots. Let's look at what's really inside that innocent-looking jar. When manufacturers remove fat from peanuts to make low-fat versions, they have to replace the flavor with something. That something is usually sugar, salt, and hydrogenated oils. The dangerous trio. Hydrogenated oils are man-made fats that keep peanut butter from separating, but inside your body, they act like glue, coating your red blood cells and making them less flexible. When blood cells can't bend and flow smoothly through narrow arteries, then especially in the aging brain, they start to clump together. This makes your blood thicker and slower, creating the perfect condition for a clot to form silently overnight. Sugar makes it worse. Each spoonful of low-fat peanut butter can contain 3 to 5 grams of added sugar. That's about a teaspoon. When sugar floods your bloodstream, your body reacts with an insulin surge. That spike inflames your arteries, damages their inner lining, and thickens your blood further. The damage doesn't cause pain, but it builds quietly over time. Your arteries lose elasticity, your heart works harder, and your brain's oxygen supply starts to falter. It's a chain reaction that ends with one frightening result: a stroke you never saw coming. I'll never forget Mr. Douglas, a 75-year-old retired teacher from Arizona. He had never smoked, walked every morning, and was proud of eating healthy. Every night before bed, he'd enjoy 2 spoonfuls of low-fat peanut butter. No dessert, no chips, just his protein treat. One morning, he didn't wake up on time. When his wife found him, he was slumped in bed, his speech garbled, his right side paralyzed. At the hospital, the scans showed a clot in his middle cerebral artery. His blood work revealed high triglycerides and markers of inflammation, classic signs of fat and sugar overload. His stroke wasn't caused by bad luck. It was caused by his nightly healthy habit. What makes peanut butter especially risky for seniors is the combination of high sodium and hidden trans fats. These ingredients constrict blood vessels and raise blood pressure, particularly during the night when the body is supposed to rest and repair. The brain becomes starved for oxygen just when it should be restoring itself. That's why so many strokes occur between 2 and 6 a.m., when the damage from those ingredients quietly peaks. Now, not all peanut butter is dangerous. The natural kind, made from just peanuts and a pinch of salt, can be part of a healthy diet. But the creamy, reduced fat or sweetened versions on most store shelves are a trap. The label may say good source of protein, but for older adults, the hidden sugars and trans fats turn that promise into poison. So the next time you reach for that jar, ask yourself, is it feeding your body or thickening your blood? Because at your age, every bite either protects your brain or endangers it. Choose the kind made with just peanuts. No sugar, no oil, no lies. Your brain depends on clean fuel, not processed comfort. And if you think peanut butter is the last safe indulgence in your pantry, wait until you hear about what happens when sugar and caffeine collide in one innocent-looking snack. The next one isn't a spread, it's a dessert disguised as health food. And for seniors, it can turn a peaceful night into a life-changing emergency before sunrise. 7. Candied or chocolate-covered nuts. The sweet assassin that strikes in your sleep. They look innocent, glossy almonds wrapped in chocolate, sugar-glazed pecans on the counter at Christmas, or that shiny mix of energy bites you keep in the kitchen for a quick treat. They taste comforting, nostalgic, even harmless. After all, it's just nuts with a touch of sweetness, right? But as a brain doctor, I've seen how those harmless handfuls can lead to the most devastating nights of your life. For older adults, these sugary, chocolate-covered nuts are not a treat. They're a silent assault on your brain's circulation. It triggers strokes. It forms blood clots. And most dangerously, it does so while you sleep, when you're least able to fight back. Let me explain how it happens inside your body. When you eat candied or chocolate-covered nuts, you're combining 3 of the most dangerous elements for aging circulation: sugar, fat, and caffeine. The sugar rush enters your bloodstream within minutes. Your pancreas releases a surge of insulin, trying to clear it out. But in seniors, the body's response is slower and the sugar lingers. That excess glucose inflames your arteries, damaging the smooth lining that keeps blood flowing freely. Meanwhile, the cocoa butter and oils in the chocolate flood your bloodstream with saturated fat, making the blood thicker and heavier. Then comes caffeine, the stimulant found in chocolate. You might not think much of it, but for an older body, even a small amount can raise heart rate and blood pressure. Now imagine this. Your blood is thickened from fat, sticky from sugar, your pressure is spiking from caffeine, and your arteries are already narrow from age. That combination creates the perfect storm. The blood starts to slow, swirl, and clot. This is exactly what happened to Mr. Douglas, 76, a retired farmer from Indiana. Every night, he'd eat a small handful of chocolate-covered almonds while watching the late news. Better than cookies, he told his wife. But one morning, he woke up unable to move his left arm. His speech was slurred, his face drooping. In the ER, his blood sugar was 230, his blood pressure 190/100, and his scan revealed an ischemic stroke, a clot blocking a key artery in his brain. He hadn't skipped his medication. He hadn't been drinking. It was the nightly indulgence that no one warned him about. The sugar, the caffeine, and the fat working together against him as he slept. This combination is especially dangerous for older adults because of something called nocturnal blood thickening. After you fall asleep, your body naturally becomes slightly dehydrated, your circulation slows, and your blood pressure dips and then rises again near dawn. If your blood is already sticky from sugar and dense from fat, that early morning surge can push a tiny clot straight into a narrow brain vessel. You don't feel pain, you don't wake up until it's too late. I've seen patients lose their ability to speak, to walk, to recognize loved ones, all from what they thought was a healthy dessert. It doesn't take a large amount. Just a few bites before bed, repeated over time, can reshape your blood chemistry and make your next sunrise uncertain. If you crave something sweet, choose fresh berries, apple slices, or Greek yogurt. Your brain doesn't need candy. It needs oxygen and stability. Every bite you take before bed either supports that balance or destroys it. Because the truth is, most strokes don't begin with a fall or a shock. They begin quietly, in the comfort of your own home, with choices you thought were safe. And now that you've seen the 7 worst nuts that can threaten your brain overnight, you might wonder, what does safe eating actually look like for someone your age? Stay with me, because the next part will show you how to rebuild your nightly habits to protect your brain, your independence, and your tomorrow. Final wake-up call. Protecting your brain starts tonight. You've just learned the truth. 7 everyday healthy nuts that millions of Americans eat without a second thought and in the aging body quietly set the stage for disaster. It's not the nuts themselves that are evil. It's how they're processed, salted, sweetened, and eaten at the wrong time. These foods, which once nourished your younger body, now play by different rules. And if you don't adapt, those small nightly habits can slowly steal everything that makes you you. Here's what I've seen after decades as a neurologist. Most strokes don't strike out of nowhere. They build silently through choices made at the dinner table, the snack bowl, and the pantry shelf. A handful of salted peanuts, a spoon of sweet peanut butter, a bite of chocolate-covered almonds. They seem harmless, but for a body over 60, they thicken the blood, strain the heart, and reduce the brain's oxygen. Then one night, it happens. A small clot, formed quietly in your sleep, travels upward. In seconds, the blood supply to your brain is cut off. It triggers strokes. It forms blood clots. And by morning, you wake up changed, or you don't wake up at all. But here's the hope. The very same choices that harm you can also protect you. The power is in your hands, literally. Choose unsalted, raw, or lightly roasted nuts. Eat them in moderation, a small handful in the daytime, not at night. Drink water with every snack. Avoid anything coated in sugar, honey, chocolate, or artificial flavor. Read the labels. If it lists more than 2 ingredients, it doesn't belong in your body. And most importantly, never believe the words low fat or heart healthy without understanding what's hiding behind them. At this stage of life, every decision you make around food either fuels your brain or starves it. You've worked too hard, lived through too much, to let something as small as a snack undo all of that. So tonight, as you reach for a late bite, remember this: your brain never sleeps, but it does depend on what you feed it before you do. Protect it, nourish it, respect it. Because when you guard your circulation, you guard your memories, your independence, your future. And that, my friend, is the real meaning of healthy aging. Not living longer, but living wiser. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with one. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.